Hi guys, welcome. We're a little bit late here, so I apologize about that. We were trying to get some technical things going on here, but welcome to weekly Wednesday wisdom, where we discuss a wide variety of topics that relate to conquering your career and life, from resume tips to mindset shifts to health and wellness. Short snippet about me, if you haven't been on here before, I'm a mom of 3 young boys working from home, a speaker, a published author, but more importantly for you guys, I'm a career coach. I have a 15-year background in engineering and operations management, and many people have come to me over my corporate career to ask for career advice. So why not, right? So now I focus on not just getting you into the next role and up leveling your career, but conquering your life, because I so strongly believe that every area of your life plays into the other, okay? So that is so incredibly important to me, and I want to make sure I share all of my experience and whatnot with you. Each one of these lives that we have every Wednesday morning provide you with a piece of wisdom, encouragement, or actionable tip that can assist in creating a breakthrough. And I want to encourage you guys to leave some comments below. I'll try to answer them live as much as I possibly can, but I want to make sure that we do share I do share all of this information as much as possible with you so you can go on and conquer your career. Okay, so here's a wonderful thing that's going on. I know so many of you guys, and I want to respect this, are on an emotional roller coaster here in the United States with everything that has happened yesterday is still happening. And I want you to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, okay? But also staying in your lane and continuing on with your life, not waiting for someone else to decide that for you, okay? Because whatever the decision that is going to happen is already been planned out by our creator, and it's not going to change everything overnight, and it's probably not going to change things over the next year anyways. So just keep on doing what you're doing. If you're passionate about something, as I was telling my team earlier, if you're passionate about something that that person may not be able to change in terms of like our presidency, take action in your own community, okay? That's what we are gifted here in America to do, is to be able to have that purpose and be able to make those changes on our own, okay? So be that example, because you being an example now actually is a future for like my young kids and their kids and things like that, okay? So based on a recent LinkedIn poll I did, I think I did it last week, guys, many of you said you wanted me to discuss how to nail the interview. That is a very fun subject right now. Yes, amen to that, right? So I think you were discussing about what I was talking about by the election. So thank you for that. So if you're facing a job search right now, we all know that you're not alone, right? There's record numbers of people filing for unemployment benefits in the United States, and half of the global workforce is at risk of losing their livelihoods. So I want you to know, whether you were laid off recently or unemployed before this pandemic hit, or you're choosing to make a career change, looking for a job right now, even among all the hiring freezes and layoffs, will be different than it was months ago, right? But how different? Like, how has the crisis affected how you approach a job search, right? From finding an opportunity to writing a cover letter and resume, and to ideally interviewing, right? A lot of people are asking me like, hey, does the usual advice still apply? And it actually does, and it doesn't. So I want to share some of those tips with you so that you guys are able to attack these interviews with as much ease as possible, okay? So to answer a lot of these questions, I've actually been reading a book, and I'll put the link in the comments when we're done with this video it's a book called Bring Your Brain to Work, Using Cognitive Science to Get a Job, Do It Well, and Advance Your Career. And so I've been reading that on top of utilizing all of my own experience over the years, and expertise, and from clients as well, because we all learn from each other, right? We're all these amazing human beings, and I'm not perfect, no one else is, and we all learn from each other. That's important too to remember, okay? So the first thing that I want you guys to do, and I know you're going to hear this over and over and over, tap into your network. We all have one. This is something that I actually heard, what was it, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, that by the age of 21, each one of us has a minimum of 2,000 people in our network. Ooh, right? That's a lot. And more than ever now, getting a job in this climate is going to be about who you know, especially for more senior positions, because there's less of them, right? So when hiring managers are faced with these like stacks of resumes, I mean, now they're all online, but like I used to get like stacks of resumes when I was in corporate and having to sift through them. they're going to be looking for some kind of familiarity, right? I know it's repeated over and over, but you need to actively engage with your network, right? You might post on social media, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, whatever else. Maybe you want to do a dance on TikTok. I don't know, right? But you're looking for that next opportunity, and you want to describe the talents that you would bring to a future employer. And that's going to be really important, okay? So I also definitely recommend for you to reach out to former colleagues who you've lost touch with. Guys, I've done this too, even as a career coach and a business owner, right? Reach out, have a conversation. You could send them an invitation on LinkedIn or an email asking how they're doing, explain your situation, ask if they have any advice. Guys, we all have advice that even just a little snippet of it, that their advice could help us in looking for the next position, okay? I know it's not easy. I know it takes time. It can be tough when you're out of work and you don't have good news to share. But guys, and we're all like overwhelmed right at this moment. But remember that people want to help when they can. Okay? Can you think about this? If someone reaches out to you and says, hey, I need help doing X, Y, and Z, maybe like cooking something or maybe assisting with their kids, or hey, can you reach out to someone for me? They're going to want to do it, especially if you guys had a decent relationship. Okay? I recently reconnected with some former colleagues. One of them was looking for work, and it felt great for me to be able to offer some advice and even some job leads. So I want you guys to be able to be on both ends of that. So reach out to people, and then when people reach out to you, provide some advice as well, okay? And you're probably like, oh my gosh, Vennessa, like we're talking about interviewing skills, right? Yes, we are. So tap your network, and it's all leading up to it, guys, I promise. Tap your network, then brush up your resume and cover letter. Okay. There's a rhyme and reason, guys, for all of this, right? So do I want you to have a resume that you're going to be using to get the interview? And let me rephrase that. Do I want you to have a resume? I want you to have a resume? Oh my goodness. I think it'd be Monday that you're going to be using to get the interview just because you got through the system? No, like too many people come to me and say, oh, just give me a resume that gets through the system. Guys, come on. Like think back, 15, 20 years and before that, like when I was applying to, for jobs and things like that, presenting things, you didn't have to go through a system. You presented what you had. Okay. So get over that applicant tracking system stuff. Okay. Yes, should be a part of your whole job search process. Absolutely. But it's not the end all be all. Okay. So don't just do that. But yes, update it for sure. And you should definitely go out of your way. Guys, this is really, really important. Go out of your way to find a mutual acquaintance to mention in your cover letter that grabs the reader's attention. Back to the, what I was talking about, tapping your network and stuff, and it's about who you know. So let's say you know someone at Nike. I don't care if they're the janitor. I don't care if they're a CEO. You put in that cover letter that you know them, okay? You also might want to highlight that you've worked in like high pressure environments before, since a lot of companies, their priorities right now are going to be weathering the crisis, right? They're going to be looking for people who contribute to that effort of making things a little bit more peaceful, bringing chaos into order, okay? And of course, if that's not your specialty, if you kind of get anxious around those things, first of all, I recommend you figuring out how to manage that. And then second of all, don't put that in your cover letter because that's not true. And if they bring you in and you're like, oh my goodness, I am an anxious person. Oh my goodness, I can't really handle chaos. And then it's basically like lying, right? And you can't do it. So don't do that if it's not true, for sure. I'm big on that. But of course, it's always, good practice to have your resume updated at any time. And it's especially important, right? As we all know, if you've lost your job or you expect you might soon, okay? So, and then the classic advice on how to draft a cover letter and resume it still holds true, okay? I have courses on that. I'm hosting a boot camp in a couple weeks here that's going to go over some of the details on that. So make sure you reach out to me if you want more information on that for sure. Okay, so preparation now. Number 3, preparation for the remote interview. All right, given that a lot of us are going to be at home, I'm going to take a sip of coffee here, give you guys a break too. Most of us are going to be working from home, right? There's a really good chance that when you're lucky enough to get an interview, you're going to be doing it remotely. Okay. So all the standard advice, it still applies when you're preparing and performing for an interview. Okay, such as first, the technology. When the interview is scheduled, like right when it's scheduled, please don't wait till the last minutes. I know a lot of you out there, half of you out there are going to be procrastinators. When it's scheduled, guys, ask what platform they're going to be using and then spend your time familiarizing yourself with this, right? There's Microsoft Teams, there's Google Meet, there's Zoom, I'm using StreamYard. So there's so many different, and there's many other ones that I don't even know about. Thanks, Jake, about the coffee cup. Yes, go Cubs, right? So you want to make sure that you've got all the technology set. Test the links out ahead of time, okay? Easy to do, right? Be sure you have a way to reach the interviewer too in the case the technology fails. I think we've all been there. I've been on like podcasts and things like that. We're like, oh, everything's not working out. Oh, I don't have a passcode, oh, blah, blah. Make sure you get like their phone number and say, or their email and say, hey, I want to make sure I have a second route to be able to contact you in case this video thing doesn't work, right? The last thing you want is to be disfluent in a high pressure situation, right? They're going to be forgiving as possible. We all want to give each other grace, but if you can demonstrate that you've thought through the contingencies, it's going to convey competence, guys, and it's so important. So set up the best possible circumstances for the technology to work for you and the other people that are going to be on those calls, okay? So for example, I definitely suggest asking others in your household not to stream TV while you're doing the interview. For example, we've got kids who are doing virtual school. We've got my husband who does Zoom calls all the time. I do ones, and then the other ones maybe watching TV or something. When you have all that going on, things can freeze up. Things can be, crazy, just stalling and whatnot. You don't want that, okay? So now, appearance. Your goal is to always look professional, okay? You don't need to wear like a suit jacket and tie and everything like that. That could be a little awkward, but don't wear like yoga pants and a sweatshirt either. Choose a neutral background, okay? Although, it probably goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyways. Avoid those virtual like beach backgrounds and things like that. Just have a blank wall, guys. Use those virtual type of backgrounds for some friends and colleagues and things like that. Don't use that for professional interviews, okay? And if you have the space, you can show the background, right? It can help humanize you. Like I don't have a plain background here. I've got some things available here, but it's still professional looking, okay? But also a blank wall can also be less risky in terms of when it comes to interruptions, especially if you accidentally have to display a messy room. Like if I was going to turn my camera around right now, you'd probably see the laundry and toys for my kids. So you also might want to consider this. This is something that was actually brought up to me a couple of days ago, is maybe stand in the interview, because then you're more aware and you're not like slouching. Like I can sit here and I can slouch, right? And that doesn't look very professional. But if I'm standing, I'm most likely going to be standing up straight, looking professional, all that type of stuff. So that's really important. Just think about maybe trying that out. Try it out. Then you also want to understand, so we've got, when you're preparing for the remote interview, you've got the technology you want to be aware of, your appearance that you want to be aware of. You don't have to have like fancy makeup on and crazy hair and everything done, guys, but seriously look professional. Another thing in terms of the technology or the remote interview preparation is do some research on the company. And what I say in terms of research is we all should be doing research on the company, but look at a company's response and what they're doing to COVID, right? Try to get the latest information. Things have changed, right, so incredibly fast, rapidly, whatever word you want to use. And you may have applied for the job a few months ago. They may have changed some things. So check their website, check newsletters, social media feeds, up to and including the day of your interview, because that could be a good talking point too. And you may be able to provide some information, maybe a solution to a problem that they are having with the COVID thing, and be able to land the interview. What? That could be awesome, right? All right, so the next thing that I want you to make sure that you do after you prepare for the interview, now we rehearse ahead of time. I know it sounds like we're in school and we're like, okay, we have to rehearse for the school play. Guys, I can't stress this enough. Experiment with how you might answer common questions. So, and the reason we do that is because when we get nervous, we tend to start monitoring ourselves, right? And this is even worse because on video, because we'll be able to see ourselves as we're talking during the interview. So you're likely to get distracted, right? Staring at a face, especially your own, it's going to make you lose your train of thought. Like, oh, wait, that piece of hair is like out of place. Oh, wait, when I get off the call, I should be, oh man, look at oh man, what's up going on with my face today, or whatever it is. So, and we all do it. So don't ever, I know everyone's kind of like giggling and whatnot, but it's true, right? It is so true. So make sure you rehearse in a spot that you plan to do the interview so you can see how you look. If you can't stop looking at yourself when you practice, maybe close the window with your image in it. Okay, there's nothing wrong with it. You can absolutely, like I said earlier, do the research on the technology and the platform. You don't want to be so self-conscious to the point of distraction, right? It can be useful to look at yourself because then you're like, oh, wait, okay, I may have a tag sticking out or something, or maybe I do have like, I don't know, for a woman, like I got mascara under my eye or whatever it is, or anything. Look at yourself, but don't get distracted by yourself, okay? So that's why I want to rehearse ahead of times. So it's not only experimenting with the common questions, it's tone of voice, it's emotions, all that type of stuff, which we'll get into here shortly as well. Another thing too, go in with a positive mindset. So after you rehearse, think about being positive, okay? Be realistic. You might not get the job, but you might get the job, right? Okay. You're not going to be also getting the same amount of nonverbal information from the interviewer. Okay, there's lots of research that's been done over the years that shows that when we don't have good feedback, we tend to be more negative, right? Like, oh, this isn't going well. Like the person's just kind of staring, or they're constantly looking down and writing notes. And then we start to think, is it something I said and they're not interested in me, whatever. So just go in with a positive mindset. Assume the best is going to happen, right? Maybe you have a mantra you tell yourself, like when you start to doubt your performance, or maybe you might sit quietly for 5 minutes before the interview starts and mentally like review all the reasons that the interview is likely to go well. Okay, guys, you got to do this. I know you can do it too. That's the thing, is I know you can do it. And then the next thing I want you to do is, and you'll see me do this a lot, exaggerate your emotions a bit, okay? For that same reason, like you want to practice being positive, you want to practice being emotive, okay? Emotive means exaggerating your emotions, okay? Unless you have a sophisticated set of like earphones, the audio usually gets compressed and you may lose some of the undertones, okay? Which also conveys emotions. So you need to exaggerate those a bit, okay? So practice with a friend on video, like get some feedback about the setting, your tone. My team does this all the time when I'm recording. They're like, oh, hey, Vennessa, maybe move the microphone or speak up a little bit or lean in or whatever it may be. It's really important to have that feedback, okay? Your goal is to appear natural and at ease. So you might record yourself answering a few sample questions and watch how you appear. But if you don't do this, if you just focus on everything you're doing wrong, that's going to be like hindering your performance, right? Don't want to do that. Okay, so then take a deep breath, right? The next thing that we want to look at is conveying warmth during the interview. Okay, and this may be a little bit more of a challenge for some people, but the crisis that we've been in over this past year has made people more eager to connect with colleagues on an emotional level. And your interviewer may have a higher expectation about how much warmth you convey during the interview. Why? Because if you're going to be doing a lot of remote work, you're going to have to convey that warmth to other team members and managers on a daily basis, okay? So what I recommend doing is that you follow the lead of the interviewer on small talk. But it may be appropriate to like ask the interviewer like how they and their loved ones are doing, right? So I always take the aspect of what's called form. So F being you talk about their family, then you start talking about O, their occupation, R talking about their recreations, and then M is the message that you want to convey. Okay, so you should always have a good response on your end too for those same questions should it come back to you. Okay, something like maybe, thanks for asking, I'm doing as well as possible under the circumstances. You don't have to go into extreme detail. You can if you want. Just be careful how much you do share, and go from there. Okay. All right, the next thing, that's the last thing that I want to go over to, is make sure that to nail the interview, you ask pertinent questions, okay? When given a chance to ask questions during the interview, which you should always have questions ready to ask the interviewer, always ask the usual ones like, hey, what are the expectations for this role? How do you measure success for this position? What am I asking what am I not asking you that I should? Actually, I had a client ask that, and he was like, and then he backtracked. He's like, wait, should I ask that or should I not? That's kind of weird, isn't it? It does feel kind of weird, but there may be, that gives them an opportunity to share other questions as well. Okay. So another thing I want to make sure that I suggest is that ask about their onboarding process in the virtual environment. Like, how are they going to be helping new hires get acclimated? I've heard people say over and over that it's been a challenge. I don't get to see my manager ever. I haven't had a performance review. So you want to make sure that you understand that process and you're comfortable with that process too. Okay. It's any of those questions you want to make sure you ask up front, because you don't want to waste your time going through a second or third interview if it doesn't match or align with what you're looking for, and their time too. Okay. So guys, I know that looking for a job is never easy. Okay. And it's going to be particularly hard right now. So be easy on yourself and the other parties during the process. Okay. Chances are that you're not out of work because of anything you did. Okay. Because think about this, many, many other people are in the same boat. Okay. The economy's going to come back. And until it does, remember that you are doing the best that you can. That's what I'm here to help you with. I know it's hard in the current context of all the oh my goodness, I might need some more coffee. Self-isolation and social distancing still, but with a bit of initiative, a bit of creativity, you can always find ways to practice your skills. Okay. Schedule walks with people. Like I said, work with a career coach online, have these little practice Zoom sessions with your friends and family members, create Zoom groups even too that maybe meet regularly to share plans, okay? We all need to be thinking a little bit outside the box. I mean, in the end, when it comes to reinventing our career in this time of crisis, remember the important point. The time is to get going now, okay? But please, please, I beg of you, don't do it alone, okay? It's really, really important to never even do any part of life alone, but to not do this alone either, okay? And this is why I do what I do, okay? Get involved with me. I have a group of professionals on LinkedIn, and we have Facebook. If whatever one is your jam, I want you to be a part of that, because we dive into this stuff really deep. Really, really deep. It's important for me to be able to share that information with you. And I also want you to know that I was going to do this next week, but I want to make sure you guys are kind of clear of the election and have a clearer mind and whatnot. I'm having a free job search boot camp. It's only going to be 3 days, and there's a couple bonus days as well, to be coming up on November 16th through 18th. That I would love for you to join in on, okay? I want you to learn so much about the job search and about everything that you need to propel your career forward, because people are still hiring. You just have to present yourself in a way that that company really needs you. So if you're ready to take action, massive action too, okay? I'm not about like little baby steps, like massive action for yourself, your career, your family, your community. Reach out to me, message me on this video, message me in a private message, whatever that looks like to you. I'm here for you, okay? You won't be sorry. I'm here to help. Me and my team are here to help you design the best you that this world so desperately, desperately needs, okay? All right. And if you have any topics that you would like me to discuss as well for next week, please feel free to let me know about that. I'm here to be able to share all that information with you. All right. Until next time, guys. Bye.